It's Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, rejoined by my ride or die, Wade Neely, back in the studio. We are both in the Lee Company studios of our respective homes today. Be here for the next 2 hours, bringing you sports topics of local, regional, and national importance. So stick around, as Wade will. Wade, welcome back.
Good to be back. You and Blaine held down the fort very admirably yesterday. Caught a little bit of the show as Top 5 Tuesday delivers yet again. So a perfect dovetail. I couldn't stay away too long because, I mean, I'm kind of wild and wacky in my own right. So it just feels right to be back for today.
Well, it's good to be back for today. And also, I mean, you were kind of in danger of getting Wally pipped there. I mean, Blaine did a really good job yesterday. Not that I was surprised, but yeah. Blaine was good. Really enjoyed that, but always enjoy you as well. And I'll tell you, I've not looked at your article that was the impetus for you missing yesterday, but I like the topic. Tell folks why you missed.
Yeah, and you haven't seen that yet. It's not out just yet, but hopefully finishing tonight.
Okay.
The Giles Chamber puts on kind of a series of community events where they invite business leaders of really all walks of life to kind of speak on various industry topics. And the topic yesterday was careers in sports. And so Jesse Parker, who's the great Giles Chamber CEO, she had reached out to a Pulaski native and a good friend of ours, Mr. Nate Bain, who's going into his 8th season with the Tennessee Titans, largely in social media. Now he's their director of influencer marketing. And so kind of a cool deal because he was back in his hometown. And then he was speaking to a nice little mix mo of folks as he saw some younger folks that were thinking about maybe getting into the sports world. There were some business folks that were maybe wondering, hey, is there anything that I could take from this talk and put it into my field? So kind of a cool story. And then for a guy that does, he still comes back to town quite a bit, but to see him in that setting was pretty cool. So yeah, we're looking forward to getting something up hopefully tonight or first thing in the morning on PulaskiCitizen.com.
Awesome. I guess I saw maybe a tweet or something from it, but I was pretty stoked.
That's the tease. That's the warm up. I guess
there you go.
Just to get the palate warmed up a little bit for later. But
get folks looking for it. That's always a good thing. Is that something you took from Nate's talk as director of influencer marketing?
You know, what I really took from it is, and you know this as well as anybody and I do, for all the talent and things that kind of can go your way and be in your favor, sometimes you just flat out got to get a little lucky. And Nate spoke to that at length, and he was very cognizant of that fact. But yeah, he's had some very interesting twists and turns in terms of luck that have kind of gone in his favor. So it's always cool though when somebody acknowledges that too. And he was very appreciative of that fact, and he was speaking glowingly about being back in town. He came back for Sundrop Fest this weekend. We hung out for a little bit, so he's still involved in the community, which is cool considering that he's worked in the NFL for now 10 seasons, and to kind of have that connection with his hometown is still pretty nice to see.
You know, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, but I've also heard that the harder you work, the luckier you get. So, and I'm sure that that's been a big part of Nate's journey as well. So again, interested to see that article later on PulaskiCitizen.com. Big show today.
Real quick, and the best part about all that, Mo, and this is what will sink it for everybody. The best part of all that is then his dad, my old boss at Martin Methodist, Mr. Jeff Bain, I made him take me out to dinner last night. So
there you go.
We kind of pulled the full circle on it. So it was a nice cap to the night. So
anytime you can get into JB's pocket, that's a good thing.
Ain't no doubt.
Yeah. Big show today. In our second hour, we will be joined by Scott Rabelais of the Baton Rouge Advocate. Gonna pick his brain a little bit on South Carolina's new baseball coach, someone with whom he has a little knowledge. Paul Maneri, former LSU coach, coming out of, some would call it retirement, some would call it something else. Gonna get that clarified with Scott when we get him on at 3:20. In our next segment, former Hillsborough three-sport standout ALIA LOGOLEO will be joining us. And I'm excited to talk to ALIA for a number of reasons. One, I think she's one of the best athletes to come out of Metro Nashville Public Schools. She's going to be playing professional softball down in Chattanooga this summer with the Chattanooga Steam of the Association of Fast Pitch Professionals. And so she's coming off of a stellar softball career over at Clemson, and looking forward to catching up with her and what she's going to be doing here over the next few months. So those are our two guests. We'll be talking little Braves, and they've had some developments down on the farm. I guess there's some other stuff going on in Major League Baseball. There was a move earlier today, and it's been a little bit since we've mentioned the Athletics, so we've got something on them as well. The grab bag is pretty full, but one of the items that we've got in there is Boston may be down a player for this game 3 tonight against Dallas. We'll talk more about that later in the show as well, so stick around. Again, lot to get to. Looking forward to it. I think we got a couple of great guests. We are back in full swing with Wade back in the studio. So let's go ahead and get things started with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
To the rundown we go. Scores in Major League Baseball last night. The Orioles blanked the Atlanta Braves 4-0 was your final there. Astros clawed a win 3-1 versus the San Francisco Giants. The Sounds were defeated by Gwinnett 13-9 was your score there. And then a trio of games in the WNBA last night. Washington 87, Atlanta 68. Wild game as Minnesota puts up 100 points. The Aces have lost 3 in a row now. 100-86 was your final there. And Seattle defeated the Sparks 95-79. So the Mystics defeat the Dream, which is a pretty sizable upset. And then the Lynx knock off the Aces. So 2 out of 3 games, Mo, kind of tilting in favor of the underdog last night to cap our WNBA scoreboard.
Absolutely. Today's schedule, and it's a short one. Major League Baseball, this one gets started here in about a half hour, I guess. Houston continues its series at San Francisco. It's a 2:45 first pitch, and at 5:35, you can see it on Bally Sports South if you so choose. The Atlanta Braves continue their series at Baltimore against the Orioles. Sounds are done. They defeated Gwinnett 4-2 earlier today. And in WNBA action this evening, the Connecticut Sun visits the Chicago Sky. That is a 7 o'clock tip. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your rundown. Top story brought to you, as always, by the fine folks at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch items, which are available until 6 o'clock, as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10 at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And sad news. The logo has passed. Jerry West died early this morning, according to, most every media outlet, including the Associated Press. 86 years old. The logo, the silhouette for the NBA trademark or the NBA logo is reputed to be a replication of his jumper. Now, I didn't see Jerry West play, but anybody that did would tell you that that's him. That's why his nickname was the logo. Prior to that, he was Zeke from Cabin Creek, West Virginia native. Wait, this guy has been inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame on 3 different occasions.
Wow.
If he had never done anything again once he played, he would have been in there twice as a player, both at West Virginia and with the Lakers. As a member of the 1960 Olympics team, that team was inducted in 2010, 50 years after winning the gold medal. And then again, he will be enshrined this year as a contributor. He, again, in addition to his playing exploits, he was instrumental in the building of the Lakers, the Warriors, the Grizzlies, and the Clippers. And I'm not sure if there has been anyone more impactful, or if anyone has had a more impactful career in the National Basketball Association than Jerry West.
Yeah, tragic news with the passing of Jerry West, and you're right. I mean, kind of where do you begin when you talk about the legacy that this guy has, because it was so multifaceted. His playing was certainly worthy of Hall of Fame mention and induction. His contributions in the other realms of basketball were both worthy of mention and induction. And I mean, he's kind of just all encompassing in the fact that he was still kind of so actively involved in the game and successfully involved in the game, even at an advanced age in life, just kind of speaks to what an impact he made and will forever make on the sport of basketball, professional basketball for sure.
He was an all-star in all 14 of his NBA seasons, 12-time All-NBA. He was the NBA Finals MVP in 1969. The Lakers, by the way, lost that series to the Celtics. And that's still the only time it's gone to a player on the losing team. He won one NBA championship, but you got to remember that was during that stretch when the Celtics were just so dominant. But he was a part of 8 championship teams as general manager, player personnel, constructing rosters across the NBA, and general manager of championship teams with the Lakers, helping build the Showtime dynasty. Again, worked in the front office of the Grizzlies, Warriors, and Clippers. Drafted Magic Johnson and James Worthy. Brought in Kobe Bryant via trade and Shaq. Played with Elgin Baylor and Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, when you mention the names that he has been alongside over the past 40, 50, 60 years, but I mean, it wasn't just by chance that he was alongside them. He was right there with them. And so it's obviously a great loss to the basketball community that Jerry West has passed at the age of 86. 25th on the NBA's all-time scoring list.
Unreal legacy he will leave. And you touched on a couple of key points there. Saw a great tweet, and it said, has there ever been a better couple of moves or better week that Jerry West, they within a 1 week span, they draft Kobe Bryant or get the rights to Kobe Bryant, and then they sign Shaquille O'Neal. That's paradigm shifting right there. And then kind of on a personal note, he was responsible for some of those moves that Memphis made during their early foray into playoff success. They had kind of been a downtrodden franchise, and then finally kind of busting through with some really, really good runs in the earlier part of the 2010s type era. And so, man, multifaceted to say the least. And kind of just reading more about him today, Mo, is interesting that the NBA technically has never officially admitted that he is the logo, but Adam Silver, who's as savvy as they come, he kind of chuckled a little bit a year or two ago, and he said, well, it sure looks a lot like him. And that's really about as far as they've ever gone. But I thought that it was kind of nice and kind of neat that Adam Silver kind of hinted around. David Stern would never relinquish, but Adam Silver at least kind of did the proverbial head nod there.
That's a definite maybe. Yeah. While they have never confirmed, the league has never said otherwise either. So maybe it is, maybe it's not.
He will be sorely missed in the sport of basketball. There's no doubt.
Without question. Another Naismith Hall of Famer has passed in the last day or so as well. And unfortunately for obvious reasons, with a lot less fanfare. But Texas boys basketball high school coaching legend Robert Hughes spent most of his career at Fort Worth Dunbar, retired in 2005 after 47 seasons, 1,333 wins. That's the most boys high school basketball coaching victories ever, anywhere. Died earlier today at the age of 96. He is in the Naismith Hall of Fame, as well as the National Federation of High Schools Hall of Fame, and obviously the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. Won a pair of state championships at Dunbar and Fort Worth after beginning his career at Terrell High School in Fort Worth, spending 25 years there, and 15 years there, and winning 3 of their segregated black high school state championships. So his teams made 30 straight playoff appearances. He only had 1 losing season.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. He passed Morgan Wooten of DeMatha in 2003 for the most wins in boys high school basketball coaching history, and stuck another almost 60 something onto that before he retired at the end of the 2005 season. So certainly a legend. And I'm sure that there are a lot of high school coaches around the country who are familiar with that name, but Robert Hughes passed away at the age of 96, and clearly it was a life well lived. He was as proud of, what his guys went on and accomplished off the court after they finished playing high school basketball as he was of what he and they accomplished on the floor. So, yeah, condolences to his family and the Fort Worth high school basketball community as well. So,
yeah, a couple of tragic losses in the sport of basketball, and yeah, what a career. Longevity, number one, but the success to boot is what's crazy. When you kind of go over Coach Hughes' achievements there.
47 years.
Man.
I mean, imagine how young you have to be to get a head coaching gig and do it for 47 years. And 2, once you get it, imagine staying in it for 47 years. I mean, you have seen guys get coaching assignments at a young age, but they typically transition into administration or to the next level or something like that. But sticking around at the high school level for 47 years, I just don't think that's something that you're going to see very much anymore.
Surely doesn't feel like it. It kind of does feel like a story and kind of tales of almost kind of like a bygone era, right? I mean, it just does not feel that we have these kind of, yeah, there was a couple of stops in there, but these lifelong type positions or these lengthy careers. And so tragic news. And obviously in the state of Texas, if you're a legend in the state of Texas, that carries a lot of extra weight. And so he will be sorely missed in the high school basketball community. There's no doubt.
No doubt. Let's go ahead and take a break from the Lee Company studios here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return, we will be joined by former Hillsboro 3-sport standout ALIA LOGOLEO, talking a little softball. Stay tuned after this break.
Wild horses are coming to Franklin. The Mustang Heritage Spectacular. 4 days of celebrity freestyle, liberty training, trick riding, and extreme Mustang makeover. Plus the shopping. Over 100 vendor spaces with clothing, food, home goods, and things you can't find anywhere else. All that and celebrity signings at a music stage too. June 20th through 23rd at Williamson County Ag Expo Park. Don't miss a moment with a weekend pass. MustangHeritageFoundation.org for tickets.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to Nashville Super Speedway.
That's right, guitars and fast cars right here in Music City. This summer, NASCAR is back at the Nashville Super Speedway. Get your tickets now to watch your favorite driver take on the 1.33 miles of concrete chaos. Visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to lock in your spot June 28th through the 30th for the ALIA 400 race weekend.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton along with Wade Neely, and we are joined now by former Hillsborough High School three-sport standout, ALIA LOGOLEO. ALIA is playing professional softball, or will be playing professional softball this summer with the Chattanooga Steam of the Association of Fast Pitch Professionals, and they open their season next week at, it's not Warner Park. Is it Field of Dreams? Is that where you guys will be playing, ALIA?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. They said the schedule. I'm just ready to go.
You're just ready to play wherever it is.
Wherever it is, I'm ready.
It's the home stadium of UTC's softball program as well, but they will be playing in the Coca-Cola Scenic Cup, Scenic City Pro Cup. There we go. All four of the AFP teams will be in action, including the Florida Vibe, the New York Rise, and there's one other team that escapes me immediately, and I can't pull my stuff up. But this has got to be exciting for you, ALIA, I would think. First, thanks for joining us. And I would think it's got to be exciting just to have the opportunity to continue your career in a professional manner.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me here. And it is super exciting. Growing up, you didn't see a lot of pro softball, but now that I'm out of college and to see pro softball growing and to be able to be a part of that growth, it's so much fun, and I'm really excited to get going.
And it's interesting that you mentioned growth, because you've kind of been growing things since you left Hillsborough. Again, standout player over there as well as volleyball and basketball. When you came out of high school, you kind of rolled the dice on a new college softball program going over to Clemson. Were you on their first team?
Yes, I was. We started in 2020 and it was cut short, unfortunately. But yes, that was team 1.
So you're kind of used to getting things started then, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fun experience, to say the least.
Tell me, I mean, oh, go ahead, Wade. I'm sorry.
I was just getting ready to ask, walk us through that process. What was it like being a part of a team at a place that has got a lot of tradition with other sports, but you're literally creating things from scratch? Kind of just maybe how did that process go as far as building chemistry, working with your coaches? Kind of maybe shed a little more light on that, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely. That first year, it was crazy. We came in and didn't have any facilities. We were sharing the track and field locker room. We had a turf field that we would practice on every day. So it was really cool to see just the program start from kind of nothing, just a couple girls with their helmets and bats, just having fun, and then growing into the successful program that we became. And that was truly, it came down to the people that the coaches recruited. They brought in girls that they believed could create success and could create a foundation of just positive energy and a good culture to, we wanted success maybe in 10 years, but we got it really in that second year, winning the ACC regular season. So I give a lot of credit to our coaches and just the athletic department at Clemson for bringing us in and trusting us. But the way that Clemson kind of poured into the softball program, that helped as well. So we had a fan day and we thought, maybe 100 people will come out. Nope, we were signing autographs for maybe 3 hours straight. Wow. And it was just so much fun. People coming to us saying, oh, I've never watched softball, but I know our baseball team's good, so we'll give you all a go. And we're like, yeah, come on out. Let us show you all about the sport. So it was so much fun.
And like you said, you guys delivered on the field, and you delivered on the field, earning all ACC honors each of your 4 years. First team this past year, your final year, but all ACC, all freshman ACC as a freshman, all ACC tournament team that second year, and again earning all ACC honors each of your 4 years. So I mean, you were right there on the forefront of what Clemson has been able to accomplish in such a short period of time. As you transition into this situation in Chattanooga, what do you take out of that into this?
I'm definitely taking a lot from that first year of just like learning to play with new people. Some of the girls who are playing with Steam I've played with growing up, so it's really cool to kind of reunite with them. But really just learning how to get along with each other. You got to learn how to play with each other in order to have success. So definitely looking forward to just getting to know my teammates and seeing what they're all about and what they like about softball, what they like about being in Chattanooga whenever we get there. But just that's really my first approach is just being able to build relationship with all my teammates so that we can have, a really good season.
Having grown up in this area, Chattanooga probably isn't foreign to you, particularly from a softball standpoint, as much of a hotbed of youth softball or pre-collegiate softball, as they like to refer to it, as Chattanooga has been traditionally. What's it like for you being back in that town?
I'm really excited. Chattanooga is not far from home, and I've been 6+ hours away for the past 5 years, so I'm actually really excited to come back and be able to just go home and see my family a lot more often. But I grew up all the time in Chattanooga, whether it was me playing or my older sisters playing in Chattanooga. We were there all the time, at least one weekend a month. So spent a lot of time there. And then my middle sister actually went to college in Chattanooga for a year. And so I went up there to visit her all the time. So it's kind of like a second home. So I'm excited to be back.
I find it interesting that you're back in Chattanooga, but I am curious, maybe walk us through this process. Did this just kind of pop up on your radar? Were there other places across the country maybe you were looking to pursue? And maybe how did you end up with the Steam?
Absolutely. So the past 3 summers, I've been coaching travel ball with Fury Platinum, who is actually who I played with growing up as well, and they're based out of Chattanooga. So I've had a relationship with this organization since I was, I think, 12 years old is when we joined. So I've gotten to know them and kind of work with them a little bit. So that was kind of my in with Chattanooga Steam. I know the owners really well, and so my success at Clemson helps a lot, don't get me wrong, but also just being able to build that relationship with them. There are a lot of upcoming teams, new and upcoming pro teams, and you see AU sports has really taken off as well. So there are a lot of other organizations that I really could have looked at, but I didn't really look past Chattanooga Steam just because of, all the history and love that's there.
How long have you known that this was going to be something you were going to pursue, when you got done at Clemson?
Honestly, not long. I wasn't really looking to play pro just because there weren't a lot of opportunities. So I didn't really think that was where I wanted to go after college. But this past December, I took a trip to American Samoa with some other collegiate athletes, all Polynesian. And so we just talked about, are we going to try and make an Olympic team? That's kind of where the conversation ended. I don't really have any information on that, but just that in the back of my mind saying, okay, if we want to try and do this, I'm going to have to stay in shape. I'm going to have to keep playing softball because these girls are no joke. There's so many talented Polynesian softball players out there. And so for me to even have a chance, I got to go play pro. And so that's kind of how this all started, was really back in December, just talking it up with some family members and people of my culture.
ALIA LOGOLEO, former Hillsborough 3 sports standout, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. ALIA is entering her first season with the Chattanooga Steam of the Association of Fast Pitch Professionals, and there will be a 4-team event, the Coca-Cola Scenic City Pro Cup at Frost Stadium in Chattanooga, starting next Wednesday, a week from today. And actually, the first game is at 11 o'clock. I'm sure that's Eastern time at Frost Stadium, and they will be observing Juneteenth. There will be a night game on Friday at 7:30 against the OKC Spark. The theme for that night is Taylor Swift night. So I guess everybody will be everybody's walk-up music will be Swiftie music. Is that the way that's going to work?
I would assume so. I really have no idea, but that's what I would assume it's going to be.
You going to pick something out? You got something picked out?
Oh, I guess I got to think on that. I don't know. I'm not opposed to Taylor Swift, but I'm not on the other end Swiftie spectrum.
You're not a Swiftie. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm going to figure that out.
Okay. All right. The OKC Spark, the Florida Vibe, and the NY Rise. And I guess you guys will be playing at all 4 of those locations at some point over the course of the season. There's a collegiate league series the week after the Scenic City Cup in Chattanooga, going out to Oklahoma the first week in July, down to Florida the second week, and up to Long Island, New York the third weekend before the Champion Cup back in Chattanooga. And this is really kind of a professional schedule, huh?
Absolutely. A lot of games and not a lot of time, but that's what we do in college, so I'm ready for it.
Okay. All right. What are you most excited about as far as this goes?
Honestly, I have a lot of family members that play for OKC Spark, and I've never played against them at all, not in college and not growing up either. They all grew up in California. So I think it's going to be really cool playing against them and just being with family members and being able to connect with them and just show everyone that we're here to play pro softball and that we're really making our mark here.
ALIA LOGOLEO, professional softball player. How's that sound?
It's crazy. It really doesn't feel real yet. I think when I put my uniform on for the first time, I'm going to be like, okay, wow, I'm actually a professional athlete.
I wanted to ask real quickly about your family. I find it interesting that we talked about you starting the team at Clemson, but is this correct? Your mom started the program or was a member of the first team at Austin Peay.
Yes.
And then your sister becomes one of the first beach volleyball recruits at UAB.
Yes.
It's kind of in your blood, it sounds like, right?
I think so. That was definitely a big thing going into Clemson, was talking to my sister and my mom just about their experiences.
Nice to have somebody to ping that off of, I guess.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, again, a 3-sport standout. You played volleyball, you played basketball. I mean, was beach volleyball ever something that you considered?
Absolutely not. I watched my sister play, and then she asked me to play in a few tournaments with her, and it was not for me. I loved it. I love volleyball, but it was totally different from softball. You know, softball's minimal movement, short bursts of energy. Volleyball in the sand, oh my goodness, it is so hard. So it was not for me.
Understand. Thinking you made the right move. Looking forward to the summer for you, ALIA, and really appreciate you carving out some time for us here on Main Street Sports today. Good luck next week, and we'll be keeping up.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. ALIA LOGOLEO, I'm sorry, from Hillsborough joining us here. And when we come back on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance, we're going to talk some Major League Baseball. Unfortunately, stay with us after the break.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
June 12th, 1954, Jim Wilson threw the first no-hitter in Milwaukee Braves history, allowing just 2 base runners on a pair of walks in a 2-0 victory over visiting Philadelphia. Wilson was as unlikely a no-no architect as there ever was, undergoing surgery for a fractured skull after being hit by a line drive in 1945, suffering a broken leg on a comebacker 2 years later, and crushing his hand in an off-season trailer accident prior to the 1948 season. Wilson, who opened the season 8-0 and made the National League All-Star team, finished the contest in just 100 minutes. That was this day in Braves history. Hour 40 no-hitter. That's the definition of cruising right there, I do believe.
Absolutely. And you know, they just don't make them, you know, back in my day, we would take a comebacker, you know, I crushed my hand off season in a trailer accident. I still went out and threw a no-hitter.
Yeah. I mean, fielding his position might have been a little bit of an issue for Mr. Wilson, but apparently throwing strikes was not. He struck out 6 in that masterpiece, by the way. That may be the best thing we have to say about the Braves today. And it took place 70 years ago because yesterday they were shut out yet again. Lost for the 4th straight time, just 5 hits in their 4-0 loss at Baltimore. And, you know, the hope was, well, Max is on the bump, so we got a shot. Well, Baltimore scored 3 in the 2nd. So, again, as someone said on yesterday's show, remind us what was said on yesterday's show, Mark. You know, we had a chance to talk to Chris Harris of the Mississippi Braves on yesterday's show, talk a little bit about these young guys that are coming up and trying to give the Braves some reinforcements on the mound. But, you know, no better than the offense has been performing of late. I'm not sure how much it matters who we run out there to pitch, but I'm trying to stay even keeled about a team that is still 7 games over 500 right now going into this. Well, now they're 6 games over 500. And again, yeah, I'm trying to stay even keeled, but I mean, Ozuna hitting in the 5 spot, moved down from 3 for reasons that no one on social media seems to be able to understand. Had a pair of hits. Michael Harris led off with a triple, and because Ozuna was in the 5 spot, he was stranded at 3rd. Olsen with a hit, Arcia with a hit. That's it. 5. Count them for 9 innings.
And got 1 hit last week. I mean, the offense is not in any sort of rhythm right now.
And, you know, if you had told me at the beginning of this season that 3 runs would be enough, 3 runs in the 2nd inning would be enough to make you turn the TV off watching the Braves. I mean, fortunately, I was not home last night, so I couldn't watch. But if I had been, I probably would not have watched after that 3-0 lead. And there's nothing that they've done of late that makes you feel like that's overcomable, if that's a word. So I don't know. It's frustrating. And again, as I spoke with Blaine yesterday, and as I've spoke with you on numerous occasions, Wade, I know that Blaine's Rangers and your Astros are going through as tough, if not tougher times than the Braves, and everything is relative. But I mean, there were expectations for this team, and they are clearly not reaching them, and what you do about it. And again, there have been some injuries, but they weren't playing particularly well offensively before Ronald Acuna Jr. went down. And realistically, 4 runs should not be enough to just, well, that's it. They're done. Particularly with this offense. So I don't know where this team goes. Spencer Schwellenbach goes back out to the mound tonight for the Braves, 0-2 with an 8.38 ERA. Cade, don't call me Maury Povich, gets the start for the Orioles, 0-1 with a 10.13. But what's that mean with this offense? I don't know.
Yeah, and that was the thing we talked about. It was only a couple of weeks ago, but it feels like it was ages ago, is on nights when the pitching is not there, they still had enough offense to keep them, if not win their games. And now it's kind of just turned into a big old pot of ugh type situation.
Can you spell that? Because that's pretty much exactly what it's turned into. A big old pot of, yeah, that. Help may be on the way. I don't know. The Braves promoted infielder Nacho Alvarez to Gwinnett prior to the Stripers 1P lost today against Nashville. He was in the starting lineup, batting second behind Forrest Wall. He went 1 for 4 with a rib. I don't know if things continue trending in the direction that they are trending in, if he's going to get a shot, if they start to just turn the calendar to 25 when hopefully Strider will be back and hopefully Acuna will be back and start gearing up for that. I mean, it's been a while since the Braves weren't playing for the season that was ongoing, but you got to wonder right now what's out there. And again, they're 6 games over 500. Philadelphia is running off with the East. I mean, there's nothing you can say other than they are playing fantastic ball right now. The Dodgers, and we'll talk more about them in a second, are playing great ball out there on the West Coast. Clearly the Braves can't compete with either of them right now. And I don't know, unless something changes with this offense, I don't know that changes.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's too many glimmers of hope right now, other than the fact you got a sizable cushion potentially in the wild card, and we've seen crazier things happen. So I mean, if you somehow right the ship and get into the postseason on a little bit of a high note, or even just get into the postseason, we've seen crazier things happen. But yeah, it is tough times in the ATL right now.
It is very tough times in the ATL right now. We mentioned the Dodgers. Sorry, Blaine. They defeated Texas 15-2 last night, and then they went out and made a trade earlier today. Apparently, infielder Kevin Biggio, a name familiar to Wade, is heading from Toronto to LA for a minor league pitcher. Now, Biggio had been playing some second base for the Blue Jays earlier in his career. I guess he had lost that position maybe to Whit Merrifield. I'm not sure, but he became a trade piece for Toronto, and I'm not sure exactly what the Dodgers have in mind, unless they've just seen something offensively in him that they feel like they can fix. Hitting 200 in 44 games for the Blue Jays, was designated for assignment over the weekend. So 29 years old. I don't know. Maybe he helps them solidify either second base or the rotation in the infield. As this CBS Sports article says, Los Angeles' roster features 4 underperforming infielders, including Biggio, Chris Taylor, Enrique Hernandez, and Gavin Lux, who is returning from a knee injury from last spring. So again, not sure what the Dodgers are trying to accomplish by trading for Biggio, but it's kind of like Blaine and I were saying yesterday when he realized that James Paxton was on their roster. They just get guys, and it's almost like get them and then figure out where they fit in. I don't know.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that's their MO, and he does give them an extra left-handed bat, which I think they did potentially kind of need. And the way I'm looking at this is, if it works out, great. If it doesn't, you didn't give up much for him. But, man, I just somehow would not be surprised if we flip on the TV in October and this guy's either starting or comes up in a pinch hit situation. And you're like, how in the world do they have this guy as a pinch hitter? It just doesn't seem fair. And then we think back to June 12th, and we're like, oh, yeah, they got this guy for next to nothing practically.
Next to cash and a minor league pitcher. Yeah.
Yep.
Your Astros, they're different when Ronell is on the mound, huh?
Yep. No hitter last night, but they did get the win, which was nice. knocking off the Giants, and that game is now underway that they're playing today to close that one out. So little win. Any win is a good win for Houston. And even though it was 3-1, kind of a nail biter, as it were, with 2 runs in the 5th to kind of push them ahead, I'll take it.
You'll take it. Ronel Blanco, 6 innings, 8 strikeouts in the win yesterday. As you said, Framber Valdez and Logan Webb going at it in this one today for the Astros and the Giants. You know, we've been talking about Ryan Weathers, and we mentioned he left his start Friday against Cleveland early. He's since been placed on the injured list with a strained left index finger. So I think his next start would have been tomorrow. He will not make that. But, you know, as we said at the time, I guess on Monday when we were discussing this situation, told Skip Schumacher he couldn't feel the ball with his left index finger, and that's never a good sign. But, you know, this dude was on a roll, and he's still got a 3.55 ERA despite going just 2 1/3 in that start on Friday against Cleveland. And he's really worked that ERA down. I think he's cut it in half or maybe even more since the start of the season. And as seems to be the case with almost every Major League Baseball team, Miami is going through it with its pitching. Yuri Perez and Sandy Alcantara both out for the year with Tommy John. Edward Cabrera is out with a shoulder situation, as is Sixto Sanchez. And I guess whoever can come up with 5 guys that they can run out there every 5th day is really ahead of the game right now.
Yeah, and it's just unfortunate for Weathers. Obviously, you hope he bounces back and maybe just picks up right where he left off, because you're right, that guy had a lot of steam going. We were just on the cusp, it felt like, of him potentially blossoming into almost kind of a national conversation with kind of the effort that he had been giving. And so hopefully a safe and speedy recovery.
Absolutely. Yesterday was Paul Skeens' day once again. 6 1/3 innings, 8 strikeouts, no decision, but Pittsburgh got the win 2-1 at St. Louis. And apparently he left to a standing ovation.
Yeah, that was epic.
Best fans in baseball.
It was epic. And it was kind of cool because he was at what did he end? I think it was close to his highest pitch count for the season.
It was, I think, 103, something like that.
Yeah, and it looked, I mean, all logic tells you that he's not coming out to start the next inning, and here he comes, and then got one more strikeout. So, yeah, you got to tip your cap to Skeens, obviously, but you kind of got to tip your cap to the Cardinals fans who, well, they hadn't had a lot else to cheer about, so they might as well cheer for the Skeens, I suppose.
I guess. Yeah, he is, again, he's getting to be must-see TV for the Pirates, and they're closing in on 500, 32-34 at this point. So keep an eye on them in the National League Central. Wade, it's been a while since we talked about the Athletics. Let's break that skid. Sportslogo.net is reporting that the Athletics have announced new uniforms both for Sacramento, and that their Las Vegas uniforms are in progress. And apparently next year, their uniforms will not mention a city. They're just going to have Athletics, whether they're home or road.
The ones we had joked that Birmingham Southern should have worn. Just have team wrote across the front almost.
Yep, in black and white. Absolutely, yeah. When the team is playing at its interim home in California's capital city, it will not have an area designation. The players' jerseys will read the same no matter where they are playing during those 3 seasons. Now, here's the thing. They wouldn't say Sacramento when they're playing in Sacramento anyway, right? I mean, teams typically wear their nickname on their jerseys at home and their city on their jerseys on the road. Isn't that typically the way it works in baseball?
I would assume so, or that makes sense to me.
I think I remember Atlanta's gray jersey saying Atlanta and their white jersey saying Braves. So I think that's typically the way it works. So it wouldn't have said Sacramento in Sacramento, but it's apparently not going to say Sacramento anywhere. And meanwhile, their Vegas uniforms are in the works, which is really kind of interesting to me, in light of how up in the air Vegas may be.
You know,
the Athletics at this point.
Yeah, hey, and it's funny you mentioned that because I don't know if you saw, or if most of our viewers saw, but ESPN, there is a caveat to this, but ESPN reporter Buster Olney actually had reported yesterday that the plans were on hold and Baltimore was going to be relocating. Turns out that wasn't the only tweet that got sent out that seemed a little suspicious as Buster got hacked. 1.3 million followers worth of hacked yesterday. And so if you thought maybe that news was a little too good to be true, turns out it was.
Man.
Baltimore is staying put, and it looks like that for now, unless some real news comes out, it looks like the Vegas A's will be still a thing potentially.
Yeah.
Best way to put it.
Can you imagine? I guess I'm kind of glad that nobody knows who I am to hack me.
And I want to say, I think there were a couple ESPN accounts. Maybe it was just Buster Olney. I thought there was a second one that was hacked as well. But he definitely had one. There was a report. Obviously, these are all fake, but there was a report about Shohei Ohtani. I mean, there was whoever had a hold of that account. Not only did they get it, they kind of they knew what they were up to, because they started dropping some heat right as soon as they got in there.
They had some fun with it, huh?
Let's see. Buster Olney yesterday at 5:12 p.m. The season has been canceled due to COVID. This was 2 days ago. I apologize. This is a tweet about Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani has been banned for life from the MLB. I mean, yeah, this person, whoever it was that hacked him, really kind of went. And then you'll appreciate this tweet. It was sent out at 4:17 p.m. Maybe it was the final one before he logged out, I guess. It just simply said, "I hate the Mets." And that's all it said. So
that could have actually been Buster now. I mean, who knows?
I don't know if that was a walk-off or if Mike Buster, maybe
had just gotten it back.
Account. Yeah, who knows? But some fake A's news yesterday. The new uniforms also potentially. And kind of getting back to that. If I was in Sacramento, I certainly would think it would be cool, if it's even a short stint, to have the jersey with the name on it, if you could somehow get that in the rotation.
Well, I mean, you'd think just from a merch standpoint, you would want that, right? I mean, because wouldn't a Sacramento A's jersey sell?
If I was remotely close to that area, I would snatch one up for sure.
No doubt.
I mean, you probably would get a little novelty purchases from across the country just because of of a weird situation it is as well.
Exactly. That's going to do it for hour number one here on Wild and Wacky Wednesday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, it's the grab bag, and there's a lot in it. So stay tuned after this break.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We are Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes, heading into hour number 2 of the 2-hour show. And again, we are getting into the grab bag and starting the hour again on a somber tone, Wade. Southern Miss defensive back MJ Daniels was shot and killed last night in an off-campus shooting, according to various media outlets, including The Athletic. Southern Miss Athletic Department put out a statement this morning, I guess. The University of Southern Miss and the Department of Athletics mourn the loss of MJ Daniels, whose life was lost Tuesday evening during an incident that occurred off campus. We send our sincere condolences to his family, friends, and teammates during this difficult time. I think he was I know he was an Ole Miss transfer. Think he was a sophomore and had a team high 3 picks last year for the Golden Eagles. Was going to be a guy that was going to be counted on, but obviously all of that is secondary to, young man losing his life to gun violence.
Yeah. Tragic news. And these stories, obviously, anytime you have a loss of life, obviously it's unfortunate, but it just seems like these stories really hit you in the feels a different way when you're talking about a young student athlete, and especially kind of a college campus. And having been around a college campus where there have been losses of life over the years, I mean, it is just kind of almost an eerie and just surreal feeling. And like you said, just very tragic considering the circumstances, and it was the off season. I mean, just a promising football career, and just cut short at 21 is very, very awful news to hear today.
It really is, man. And as you mentioned, we hear these stories, and often it takes place during the summer, and maybe there's less structure over the summers and more opportunities for things to take place. Obviously you don't want to conjecture too much into it, but you hate when this kind of thing happens. I mean, somebody that age, they got so much promise and so much going for them and that kind of thing. And for something like that to happen, it's tough to hear. So, as the statement said, our thoughts are with the Southern Miss football program and with that community down there. So tough news. Not to compare the two at all. The Celtics may be without Kristaps Porzingis tonight for Game 3 as that NBA Finals best-of-7 series goes to Dallas. Porzingis apparently had a rare ankle injury that he sustained in Game 2, and they don't know what his status is as of yet.
Yeah, a torn medial retinaculum, which allowed the dislocation of the posterior tibialis tendon.
Thank you, Dr. Neely.
I'm sure everybody knows what that is. And that's kind of the crazy thing about this story in particular is, he was already returning from injury, but the fact that now we're dealing with this, but there was a lot of folks that when this story breaks last night, they're like, hang on, what? You're used to seeing, a ruptured Achilles, a twisted ankle, things of that, but a torn medial retinaculum, which allowed a dislocation of the posterior tibialis tendon. In his left leg. I don't know what to make of that is where I'm going with that.
Stop just a second. How do you dislocate a tendon? I mean, I don't know a lot about anatomy and physiology and that kind of thing, but I thought that dislocations took place with bones in joints, not with, connective tissue. And that's probably the extent of my knowledge. But I mean, that a dislocation of that sounds really odd. And maybe that's what makes it rare. I don't know.
This will be a great time to ask our guy, Zach Farr at TOA. I know he's a shoulder and elbow guy, but maybe he could shed some light on it because everybody was kind of scratching their head when this news comes out. And if he is out, this potentially Game 2 was a little bit, now you wonder how much of his performance in Game 2 was related, obviously, to this injury potentially. But after an electric Game 1, he kind of transformed Boston into the team that I think a lot of folks think that they're capable of. And then in Game 2, even though they won, we talked about it the other day, they kind of were there for the taking. And now tonight's game with him, as Joe Mazzulla described, a, quote, serious injury. If he's out for the rest of this series in any capacity, this could be a chance. I'm not saying the door's open, but the door is slightly ajar for the Mavericks here.
Now, Dallas still got to win 4 of the next 5. But, you're saying there's a chance. Porzingis scored 20 in that first game, 12 in Game 2. And again, we talked about this Celtics team getting contributions from places that they didn't necessarily expect to. I would dare say a 16-point average from Porzingis in the opening 2 games would be that.
I think so. And, this will be the easy point that everybody will kind of make. But, I mean, I'm not a basketball whiz, but it's just, to me, it's going to come down to, it doesn't matter if Porzingis is playing or not. If the role players for Dallas don't step up and play at least a little better, which presumably they will being at home, but if they don't give a little more spark, it won't matter if Porzingis is out there or not, I don't think, at this point.
And you wonder how much that will weigh into Boston's urgency to get him back.
I mean, so think about that. I mean, if they win tonight
without him,
Porzingis, then, I mean, you don't want to go in full cruise control. You don't want to just give away 2 or 3 games, but you certainly you're in a historic, you would take a historic comeback for you to lose that series at this point. So tonight, if Boston, if they feel like he is absolutely crucial, look for the other guys to come out just guns a-blazing tonight and for them to try and quote unquote, wrap up this series this evening with the win.
Absolutely. Wade, your friend will be in action in Pinehurst this week. Is that right?
Unfortunately not, Mo. Mr. Lee Hodges is out this week. The Ardmore native, former University of Alabama standout, is not playing at the U.S. Open. But and the only reason I know that is because the tee times have been announced, and there are some interesting tee times, including if you get up early tomorrow, you can catch Tiger, you can catch Brooks Koepka. Some of the big hitters, Justin Thomas, Morikawa, and Koepka, are all in the same pairing tomorrow. So there's some early tee times. But, unfortunately, the local flavor won't be there at Pinehurst.
That is unfortunate. You know who else won't be at Pinehurst, apparently? Jon Rahm. Due to a lingering foot injury, he has withdrawn. Apparently has they're calling it a lesion between the little toe and the next toe on his left foot.
That's one of those that don't sound that bad, but it probably is awful.
Well, it doesn't sound that bad until you talk about walking 72 holes in 4 days.
Yep.
So I don't know how or what happened, but it got infected. The pain was high. On the Saturday morning this past weekend, I did get a shot to numb the area. It was supposed to last the whole round, and by my second hole, I was in pain already. The infection was the worrisome part. The infection is now controlled, but there's still swelling and there's still pain. There's a reason I walked out here in a shoe and a flip-flop, trying to keep the area dry and trying to get that to heal as soon as possible, but I can only do what I can do. The human body can only work so fast. This was during yesterday's press conference, I think, that he was speaking on this situation. But he announced his withdrawal yesterday afternoon.
Tough go of it, and Rahm is really not made a lot of noise. Obviously, being part of the Live Tour now has kind of quieted some of that anyway, but had a disappointing PGA and just kind of has not probably been the season he certainly would have hoped. And I mean, that's the wild thing. You're thinking, all right, if I can just make it to one of the majors, turn it on for 4 days, you could turn your whole year around. So he was ready to get out there and kind of show what he can do, but to have to withdraw last week and then to have to withdraw from this tournament just right on the cusp, that's frustrating. And that's got to be the extra frustrating part, right? Is you don't know until like maybe the day before if you're going to be able to give it a go or not. You're hoping like heck that it's going to happen, but it just didn't happen for Rahm this week.
Right. And I mean, you can think, hey, maybe the medicine will kick in. Maybe this will start to subside and I can actually make a run at it. But apparently it didn't work out that way for Jon Rahm, and that's unfortunate. As you mentioned, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, and Koepka going off at 7:40 tomorrow, which I guess is 6:40 here, by the way. So get up early. Ricky Fowler in the next threesome, going off on 1. As you would expect, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, and Scotty Scheffler get a later tee time. They go off at 12:14 Nashville time. And like you mentioned, Wade, Tiger going off at, again, 6:29 Central time on 10, followed by Patrick Cantlay and Matt Kuchar. Another guy from the Live Tour, Dustin Johnson, going off 2 groups later. So Pinehurst should be fun.
Should be good. I'm looking at the forecast. Looks like it's going to be a great weekend. Relatively short drivable from Middle Tennessee. But yeah, you're looking at upper 80s, may get into the low 90s at some point, but no chances really of rain. If the guys prefer cooler temperatures, those will definitely be in the morning flights. Ball will fly a little further in the afternoon because, as we said, it's upper 80s / low 90s pretty much all weekend.
Former Vanderbilt standout Gordon Sargent goes off at 12:47 Nashville time. We mentioned him on yesterday's show, one of Vanderbilt's 3 individual NCAA champions, and he will be teeing it up with Jake Knapp and Cameron Young again on number 10 at 1:47 Pinehurst time, 12:47 here. So we'll be keeping an eye on that as the week progresses. Wade, it wouldn't be summer in the NFL without somebody who's supposed to be in camp not being in camp, would it?
Seems like maybe not every team, but it certainly feels like quite a few teams. We see this storyline year in, year out, and it ends up intentionally or unintentionally kind of dominating headlines, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty deep in the grab bag, but we do need to mention it because his name has been loosely connected with the Tennessee Titans at various points throughout this offseason, probably because his hometown is Oak Ridge. T. Higgins is not in camp with the Bengals. He has been given the franchise tag by the Bengals this offseason, but he has not signed it, so he is not under contract, and so he cannot be fined for not being in mandatory minicamp. So there's that.
He's making the headlines, and then as a Jets fan, I'm contractually obligated to mention that Mr. Rogers, unexcused absences racking up. If this were high school, he'd be on the verge of ISS at this point because
not only would he be on the verge of ISS, but he'd probably have lost his exemption and he would have to take his final semester exam, which could be a problem for Mr. Rogers as well. I don't know. I don't know what this was related to. It can't be related to money, so I don't know what else it is, but I take my QB1 not being in camp a little bit differently than I do other folks.
Yeah, and especially with kind of the what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of the hoopla that surrounded this signing last year, and how he was trying to change the culture, and just kind of being a great leader for a team that kind of was in somewhat sore need of that. Doesn't set a good look. And, the story was that it was a event that was, quote, very important to him. There were, the jokes, of course, that he was getting ready to announce his vice presidency candidacy with some candidate yesterday, but it turns out that's probably not going to be the case. So I don't know what he had going on, but you're right. It's not a great look if your QB1 is kind of just fizzling out with a unexcused, again, quote unquote, absence.
Unexcused as termed by the franchise. And like you said, signed with so much hoopla, missed the season, except for what, 2 snaps? How many snaps he played last year?
Don't remind me. Fourth play of the season.
4. Okay, 4th play of the season. Again, as you said, signed to come in and be a leader in every sense of the word. I mean, he's Aaron Rodgers. He's accomplished everything he's accomplished. I'm going to show you guys how to be winners, except you're not, because you're not here and you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Now, the only other thing, there's obviously 2 sides to every story. Robert Saleh comes out and says that him and Rodgers have been in communication the whole time, and it was not a surprise to him, but it technically does go down as a unexcused absence. So, kind of your classic, I hear you, you got a great excuse, but it's still an unexcused absence type situation. And he was in the building earlier this week, just wasn't there for whatever reason, and did not let the team even know what that event was, quote, very important to him. So who knows?
Well, and there's 2 things there. One, what else is the coach going to say?
Right.
And two, it's an event that's very important to him, but it's so important to him that he can't say what it is. So, yeah, that's, as I think I saw somebody say, it doesn't pass the smell test.
It does seem odd. But it's summer, so this is one that gets a little more extra attention. We're so foaming at the mouth for football content, but in the grand scheme of things, fingers crossed, just me saying that as a Jets fan, this won't maybe potentially matter too much. But yeah, just not a great overall look. But everything is weird and unusual with this guy, so it's kind of almost par for the course at this point.
Yeah. Westmoreland boys basketball coach Cherie Stivers Abner, who starred at Belmont as a player, will be going into that school's Athletic Hall of Fame in September, along with J.J. Mann, Ashton Van Horn, Bob Fisher, and Larry Threlkill. Fisher, former president at Belmont. As Cherie Stivers, she played in 131 career games, winning 102 of those with back-to-back TCAC, Tennessee Collegiate Athletic Conference championships, 826 career assists, which still ranks among the NAIA's all-time leaders nationally.
Wow.
And it's still the school record. Has gone on to win more than 400 games as girls coach at Westmoreland, founded the girls program at Green Hill, and came back to Westmoreland as their boys coach 2 years ago. She is 42-17 in 2 seasons with the Eagles. So congratulations to Coach Abner. It's a great honor for her. Well-deserved. Remember when she played at Nashville Christian, she was a real deal. So again, congrats. When we come back after this break from the Lee Company studios on Main Street Sports Today, we will be joined by Scott Rabelais to talk about the newest baseball coach in the Southeastern Conference. Stay tuned.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to Nashville Super Speedway.
That's right, guitars and fast cars right here in Music City. This summer, NASCAR is back at the Nashville Super Speedway. Get your tickets now to watch your favorite driver take on the 1.33 miles of concrete chaos. Visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com to lock in your spot June 28th through the 30th for the ALIA 400 race weekend.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Wild horses are coming to Franklin. The Mustang Heritage Spectacular. 4 days of celebrity freestyle, liberty training, trick riding, and extreme Mustang makeover. Plus the shopping. Over 100 vendor spaces with clothing, food, home goods, and things you can't find anywhere else. All that and celebrity signings at a music stage too. June 20th through 23rd at Williamson County Ag Expo Park. Don't miss a moment with a weekend pass. MustangHeritageFoundation.org for tickets.
It's Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. In our final segment of the day, Wade and I will bring you the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest news from around the globe, so be sure and stay tuned for that. Right now, this isn't wild or wacky, but we are joined by Scott Rabelais of the Baton Rouge Advocate. And I reached out to Scott in reaction to the news that Paul Mainieri's hiring as the new baseball coach at South Carolina was pretty much imminent when I reached out to Scott, and it had since obviously come to pass. Mainieri, who previously had been at LSU before leaving, 3 years ago, I guess. I think some took it as a retirement, some took it as something else. But Scott, first of all, good afternoon. Thanks for taking some time to be with us today.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me with you.
Absolutely. When Mainieri stepped down at LSU, at the end of the 21 season, how was that termed?
It was termed as his decision. He'd been suffering from some serious neck pain, some neck issues, partially physical, partially, I think, stress related from the pressures of being a coach. And he was, I guess, 64 at the time, 63 or 64 at the time, and I don't think he really wanted to go. I think there was a little bit of, hey, Paul, maybe you should take it easy, kind of thing going on from LSU's perspective. And then, of course, they hired Jay Johnson, and this is one of the, as people may know, since he's been athletic director, Scott Woodward has hired the big four coaches at LSU: Brian Kelly, Kim Mulkey, Jay Johnson, and Matt McMahon in men's basketball. And so he made a big hire, and of course, it paid off dividends pretty quickly. They won the College World Series last year. But Paul, got his physical issues at least, I don't want to say squared away, but certainly better. And he still had the itch to coach, and flirted with the Miami job and another job, and then the South Carolina job came open for him, and he decided in the last few days to take it. And so he's heading to South Carolina now to be their head coach. And it surprised me. I mean, I thought he was done, but sometimes people, as you know, Mo, a lot of times in sports we see athletes and certainly coaches as well. That itch doesn't go away very easily, and they want to get back in the game, and that's the case with Paul.
I appreciate you saying that it surprised you, because you're a heck of a lot closer to the situation, not necessarily at South Carolina, but with Mainieri than I am. And I was surprised. I mean, I just thought he was done when he stepped down at LSU. 66-year-old Paul Mainieri. And in this climate of college athletics, where you see so many folks, either wanting to get out or lamenting the state thereof, what are your thoughts about him getting back into it with the portal, with NIL, and 66-year-old Paul Mainieri?
Yeah,
and not knocking quote old guys or anything like that. Just It just strikes me as a little odd.
No, I think you bring up a great point. And look, just since Paul retired, we've seen massive changes in college athletics, right? I mean, obviously conference realignment and the transfer portal, is as wide open as ever. And of course, NIL. Now there's going to be revenue sharing. How does that trickle down to a sport like baseball? No one really knows. I was at the SEC spring meeting a couple of weeks ago. And even at the SEC, they don't have all the answers, namely how revenue sharing will be distributed. So just to jump over that topic real quickly, will it be most of the money going to the revenue sharing, producing sports like football and men's basketball, or will Title IX be something that kind of decides how things get divvied up? Anyway, no one knows at this point. But these are some of the things that for veteran coaches like Paul Mainieri, like we've seen with other coaches like, perhaps, you could say Mike Krzyzewski, with Roy Williams, with some other coaches in other sports, certainly Nick Saban. These are some of the things that have made them say, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not the game I used to coach. This is not the atmosphere I used to coach in. And I think Paul was seeing this stuff coming near the end of his tenure at LSU, and he wasn't a big fan of it either. I don't think any coach is a fan of it, that you either tolerate it nowadays or you decide to do it. So that's what made this even more surprising, given that not just his age, not the fact that he's had some physical issues, but that it's just changed so much. He's been a coach for a long time, and some coaches, they choose to adapt. And again, I point to someone like Brian Kelly, who's in his early 60s at LSU, and Kim Mulkey's in her early 60s, and it's like, they've had Hall of Fame careers, already, but they want to keep going and trying to figure out how to continue on in the current climate. I don't know how well Paul's going to adjust to that. And he talked to our beat writer. We have a story on our website at theadvocate.com talking about it. And he's talking about bringing assistants, younger coaches, obviously, to help him deal with some of these issues. But eventually, of course, the buck stops with him. And dealing with NIL and dealing with, another thing with baseball, they might, go from 11.7 scholarships to everyone having a scholarship. That's going to be up to, I would assume a school like South Carolina is going to do that. Again, it's not set in stone kind of rule, like 3 outs in an inning or something like that. So there are a lot of, just to summarize what you said, there are a lot of issues now with college athletics that have just cropped up in the last couple of years that he's going to have to deal with that he didn't before. And you would think that he would know all that he got himself in for. But I think it's probably a lot to anticipate if you haven't been dealing with it on a day-to-day basis.
Scott, I'm curious as kind of digesting this hire, and it is a little bit of a head scratcher per se, but their athletic director, Ray Tanner, he's just an old school baseball guy, right? I mean, how much of this can be maybe simply boiled down, if any of it boiled down to just two old baseball guys that have a little bit of a relationship? And maybe was that enough in your mind to potentially lure him up to South Carolina?
I think that had to be a big factor in it. Obviously, Ray Tanner won 2 College World Series at South Carolina back to back. In fact, they won the 2 right after LSU won in 2009 when Mainieri won. And Ray Tanner also, just some, there's got to be a lot of familiarity there and friendship. Ray Tanner was an assistant coach, by the way, for Skip Bertman at the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. So again, just a lot of familiarity there. And I think that added to Paul's comfort with taking this job, that you're not only working for a guy who's been a coach, but has been a baseball coach. And he knows, some of, a lot of the issues you're dealing with. And I think it certainly led to Ray Tanner's comfort with wanting to hire Paul Mainieri. Look, I don't think either of them think this is a long-term hire, that he's going to be coaching there for 10 years or something like that. I would think 3 or 4 years. This is a South Carolina program that obviously has had great success, as I just mentioned, and has been among the powers in the SEC, and has been kind of not terrible in recent years, but certainly not great. And they're trying to get back to that level, and in an ever increasingly competitive SEC, when you're adding 2 teams in Texas and Oklahoma that expect to be good as well, and have been very good. Oklahoma won the Big 12 this past year. and was hosted a regional. So it's you're trying to get back on a stronger footing and going forward in the SEC. And I think he sees Paul Mainieri probably as someone who can stabilize the program and win. Like he's won everywhere and won under he won at Notre Dame, got them to a World Series, and cold weather climate, not great facilities for sports like football, and basketball probably, but not great facilities for baseball. They used to practice on a parking lot, early in the season when he was at Notre Dame, and he made them. They averaged over 40 wins a year, Notre Dame while he was there. He did tremendously well there before coming to LSU. So he's going to win. How much can he win? I don't know. But yeah, to your original point, I think Ray saw him as someone who can stabilize the program and bring them back to respectability. And Paul saw someone in him that, a kindred spirit and someone who understands his needs and his desires in order to build that program back up to a level that South Carolina would like it to be at. And then I would imagine after a few seasons that he can hand it off to someone. Paul's got a big coaching tree, and I'm sure Ray Tanner does as well. And someone that they're comfortable with handing it off to try to continue the success they hope will be built again under Paul.
Scott Rabelais of the Baton Rouge Advocate joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Scott, when Mainieri comes back, he becomes the active leader in Division I career victories, 1,505. He's been a two-time SEC Coach of the Year, four-time National Coach of the Year. As you said, I mean, he's been ultra successful throughout his career. But when your AD is the former baseball coach and has won 2 national championships, you kind of know what the standard is. I wonder, for all of the comfort level that each of them has with the other, how much of this is or can become potentially Tanner looking over Mainieri's shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine there's going to be some of that. I can't imagine there won't be, and look, and again, Paul's has experienced some of this. He was hired by Skip Bertman when Skip, he retired from baseball, and then he became the athletic director very shortly after that. And he hired, there was a coach in between them, Smoke Laval, but he brought in Mainieri, who had once played at LSU, and his dad was a great minor league junior college coach in South Florida. And so that's not totally unfamiliar, but yeah, there's going to be something. I don't think that Ray Tanner sits in the dugout like we saw. If anybody watched the Clemson Florida State Super Regional, and Jack Leggett, the retired Clemson coach, was in the dugout, and he got thrown out of the game for the weekend, and along with the current head coach. I don't think it'll probably be quite like that, but yeah, it's the standard is pretty high. I mean, if you've won multiple national championships in a sport, and you've had that, in a fairly recent success, we're not talking about like, say USC, which has won the most national championships, but only won one in the last, 35, 45 years. Then, you got to build that back up, but they know what it's like, and it's been recent, and that can be cumbersome. Sure. That can be an issue. I don't think it's not. And clearly the expectation is there. It's not to be doing what they've been doing, which is, getting in the NCAA tournament, having winning seasons, just, doing, making a field of 64, just doing okay, occasionally hosting a regional or something like that. No, the expectation is going to be that they contend for the SEC title and the SEC tournament title, which is something that Paul always put a lot of emphasis on, winning at LSU, and then hosting regionals and being a national seed and getting to Omaha. I mean, look, being one of those 8 teams, that's the holy grail. Jay Johnson, the current LSU coach, said, they've won 137 games or something like that his first 3 years, but they didn't make it to Omaha. So, that's at LSU, that's not a good season. And I imagine at South Carolina, that's not a good season either. So, the bar will be high and the expectations will be high. And I can't imagine there's not going to be a little of, well, I did it this way and he's doing it that way. A coach like Paul Mainieri is going to want to do it his way. And it'll be interesting to see that dynamic at play for what we learned about it. How they reconcile all that, because it's going to be an interesting thing indeed for them with two very successful coaches to coexist in that relatively close space.
Yeah, I think that dynamic is certainly going to be intriguing. You know, Maneri follows Mark Kingston. South Carolina went 1-2 in the region this past year, this season that just finished up for them at Raleigh as the number 2 seed. Lost to NC State and James Madison after going 13-17 in SEC play this year, the second time in 3 years that they've been sub 500 in conference play. I mean, I don't know, is it the postseason performance or is it the in-season performance that was most glaring with Kingston that cut him short after 7 years?
Yeah, I don't think either was, super stellar, but I would think it was the latter. I was thinking it was the postseason, the performance that got you, because baseball is one of those sports where, look at Ole Miss 2 years ago. They bumped along the one of or the last at-large team in the field of 64, but they got hot at the right time and they went all the way through and they won the national championship. So it's one of those sports where you can certainly redeem yourself quite a bit. Florida this year, they've got 28 losses and they're in Omaha. Right? Yeah. So that's going to be viewed as they're going to forget about the regular season to a large degree in Gainesville and focus on the fact that they made it back to Omaha again after finishing a runner-up to LSU last year. So, I think you got to perform in the postseason, and that's more and more pressure. Mo, let's go. I remember when I was in school, and I went to LSU back in the 80s, and I remember when Skip Bertman arrived in 1984. Now it was a 10-team SEC, not 16, but Mississippi State was good. Florida was occasionally good. You didn't have South Carolina in the league, or Arkansas, which is a powerhouse program, or Texas A&M, which is going to Omaha this year. But there weren't that many schools that you had to overcome. Vanderbilt, I don't think was very good in baseball. Certainly until the current regime came along, and obviously they've had a lot of success since then. But Florida was good once in a while, but there wasn't a whole lot of competition. Now it's like football. At least half the league is halves. These are programs that everybody's got a nice, relatively new ballpark and nice facilities and big budgets and all these things. If you don't do well in the SEC in the regular season, that's not the end of the world. LSU, for the success in 2023, didn't win the SEC regular season or the tournament, but they came through and won the College World Series. So I think that's probably what got Kingston in the end, and that's what's going to be the measuring stick for Paul Maneri going forward, like a lot of these other programs in the SEC, for sure.
Great. Scott Rabelais of the Baton Rouge Advocate joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Scott, we appreciate your insight, man. Appreciate you taking some time with us, and look forward to catching up with you here again soon.
Always a pleasure. We're gonna see you guys at SEC Media Days in Dallas.
Efforting.
Okay.
We were efforting. Yeah, I hope so as well. Hopefully, we will catch up with you out in Dallas. Looking forward to that.
It's gonna be All-Star Week, and it's gonna be SEC Media Days. We're kind of wondering, is Paul Skeen talking about baseball? Does he have a shot to make it? As a rookie to the All-Star game? He's off to a good start.
He is off to a great start. We were talking about that earlier in the show, actually. So yeah, that would be huge if he does. So we may grab you for multiple things.
Yes, variety of reasons, Scott.
Absolutely. Scott, thanks.
Anytime. Thank you for having me.
All right. When we come back after this break, it's Wild and Wacky Wednesday. We will give you the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest news from across the globe. Stay tuned.
Are you the biggest race fan? Main Street Media and Rackley Roofing are teaming up to send a family of 4 to the Rackley Roofing 200 truck race at the National Super Speedway on June 28th. All you have to do is head to your favorite Main Street Media site and click on the Rackley banner to win.
As promised, Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And going to start it out by staying in sports. San Francisco Giants coach Ryan Christensen has become a bit of an artiste, I guess. In fact, New York Yankees Juan Soto referred to him as exactly that. He apparently puts together the lineup cards for his teams and uses some calligraphy to do so. He gets the lineup on a daily basis from manager Bob Melvin, and then Christensen, who is employed with the team as their bench coach and calligrapher. He will use some different styles, apparently 10 different styles.
Whoa.
to put together the visual of the starting lineup for that particular day. He'll use some old English. He'll apparently Scriptwurst is a font, which I'm not familiar with. Wade, you do a little bit more design than I do. You may be more familiar with that, but apparently that's what he makes the lineups that are posted in the dugout aesthetically pleasing, and is drawing quite a following for that, I guess. He's done some lineup cards. He also does some drawings. Quite the talented guy in addition to his baseball background. Options include Roman Gothic, a Celtic variation, Chicano tattoo, and graffiti. Yeah, it's
I love this, and my mind goes immediately to two things. Bob Melvin, you know, there's two types of coaches, Mo. There's a coach that loves this type of stuff, especially in the college realm, and kind of sells it to kind of market their team or market their program. And then there are the coaches that hate this type of stuff. And it seems like Bob Melvin, at least, is pretty cool with it. And it's like, you know what? Hey, do your thing, man. So
I think that's kind of where you need to be on this kind of thing. I mean, if you have the opportunity to indulge somebody's, talent, it's not hurting anything. Why would you not? But yeah, you're right. I mean,
what does a bench coach, I guess, really do would be the other question coming out of this.
I think for the most part, they're kind of a sounding board for the manager in different situations during the game, that kind of thing. But certainly there would seem to be a little added value here for Ryan Christensen.
Yeah, and like you said, some fancy designs, which kind of have drawn some attention from the other teams, and sounds like it's one of those things too, right? If the manager's on board with it, if the team's on board with it, it could kind of be a cool thing that takes on a life of its own. And baseball, more than any other sport, is a sport that thrives on those type of things.
Well, and here's the thing, over 162 games, things can get really boring and mundane if you're not careful. And so anything to kind of break up that grind, I would think you'd be all for it. So, but this dude is talented. I'm looking at this Mets Giants card over here with this old English look. That's certainly beyond my capabilities. So.
Yeah, me too. Hey, speaking of handwriting, how about this story, Mo? Everybody loves a feel-good story, and this is a great feel-good story. It comes out of Massachusetts, where a high school commencement speaker wanted to thank the 180 graduates that they graduated alongside with. However, not quite the way you would have traditionally thought. As Mason Mackick that's Lakeville, Massachusetts. I lost my location there. But Mason left handwritten thank you notes under all 180 seats. And during the commencement speech, said, I want you to reach under your chairs And it's one final note for all of our fellow seniors. So I thought that was pretty neat that it says took roughly 10 hours for Mason, he said, to write the thank you notes. And as the class president, he knew virtually all of his classmates, and thought that was kind of a neat story and kind of a little bit of a bygone, kind of a relic almost. The handwritten thank you note goes a long way. I try and write them when I can, but man, they're kind of a a forgotten kind of art form at this point.
Oh, they really are. I almost had to fight my high school graduate a few years back, 10 years ago, as a matter of fact, to write his thank you notes. So yeah, it's definitely, if not a lost art, definitely a rare art. So that's pretty impressive. 180.
Man. And then, so that's just for the graduates. And then, like to your point, now you got to write them for folks that were supporting you for your graduation. Yeah.
Yeah. A massive rare fish thought to only live in temperate waters in the southern hemisphere has washed up on the northern coast of Oregon. A hoodwinker sunfish first appeared on the beach in northern Oregon on Monday, was still on the beach at the end of the week, and may remain there. 7.3 feet hoodwinker sunfish. It's not small.
No.
And I mean,
holy mama.
Is it? I'm assuming it's dead. It's washed ashore. There's not a whole lot of water around it, but you just going to leave it there or what?
Hopefully that's just for a photo op, and maybe find some way to. That is okay. That angle looks wildly different. I didn't know what I was essentially looking at first. I didn't.
Yeah.
I was looking more of a sea creature rather than a fish. I see the fish kind of element now. Doesn't look like he went out very happily based on his facial expression.
Does not look very comfortable at all. That's wild. That's right there with the gator that showed up on the beach of Florida here not too long ago. That's things that you don't expect to see, to say the least.
Hey, while we're talking water, how about this story that I came across earlier today, Mo? Cliff divers, but in Boston. Maybe wondering what that's about, right?
Mm-hmm. I am.
Well, thousands of cheering fans have raced to docks, roofs, and sidewalks to watch some of the world's elite cliff divers, which the Associated Press calls a sport. And I guess supposedly, depending on your definition, is a sport. A little bit too suicidal for my liking, but they basically held a marquee cliff diving event in the middle of Boston, kind of rigging up something where participants climbed as high as 90 feet and jumped into the chilly harbor below, which I've done some dumb things, and I've jumped off some cliffs and high places into water over my years, and I'm proud to say those years are gone, and I don't think they're coming back. So
that's good to know.
If you wanted a chance, and these guys, apparently these folks came from all over. One of the divers that is featured in this article came all the way from Australia to participate. The event was held at the Institute of Contemporary Art. So who knew that within the city limits of Boston, there would be cliff divers, Mo?
I never would have considered the possibility. I mean, it's not something that I'd ever thought about, but I certainly would not have expected it in Boston, like you said.
And this event happened, just recently. It was not as if it was the night after the Bruins were eliminated. I mean, this is happened a little bit. This was a prearranged event, because sometimes, sports will lead you to think about some crazy things, but
wonder how many Bruins fans were involved. Just get it over with.
just, you know what, we're out of here. So found that story interesting. The cliff divers came to the city.
Looking at this article on African elephants, apparently they call each other and respond to individual names, according to recently published research. Elephants' low rumbles can be heard over long distances across the savannah, and it is believed by people that study that animals with complex social structures and family groups that separate and then reunite often may be more likely to use individual names.
Now, that is interesting.
It really is. And I mean, obviously, we don't know what they're saying, but clearly they do. But it's extremely rare for wild animals to call each other by unique names. Humans have names, of course, and dogs come when their names are called. Baby dolphins invent their own names, and parrots may also use names. But again, wild animals using names, and apparently these biologists in Africa use machine learning to detect the, I guess, different sounds and different elephants responding to them. The researchers followed elephants in jeeps to observe who called out and who appeared to respond. Oh, that's.
Do you think they have nicknames?
Are
they that advanced with this calling here?
Hey, big guy. Yeah, that's I mean, that's tough to grasp. I mean, I've not been around elephants, certainly not in their natural habitat like that, but that's pretty amazing to think that's actually taken place. I'm not going to say it doesn't. It's amazing that there are people studying that type thing that can come to that conclusion. That's pretty impressive.
They're calling them. Hey, you mentioned we're talking about wildlife, and you mentioned a grasp. That was the ghost of Nick Saban that just raised our airwaves there.
Producer Mark coming through in the clutch right there.
Golly, we'll buckle up, Mark, because I got another good one for you here. Because you mentioned, Mo, we're talking wildlife, and you mentioned grasp. How about the story out of Glen Rose, Texas, where a Texas family took a 2-year-old on one of those vehicular safaris that you can kind of go on. This clip was getting circled around social last week a little bit, and their 2-year-old was what started out as like an innocent little nibble.
It's all fun and games.
Picked up out of the vehicle by a giraffe, and the family had stopped to feed, and then at that point, the giraffe, like I said, kind of seemed innocent enough. And then the giraffe kind of picked her up just enough to absolutely terrify everybody. But luckily, the story ended okay. As the family said, my heart stopped, my stomach dropped, and it scared me. Yeah, I can imagine. But things ended up okay, so much so that the family then went to the gift shop, and guess what kind of toy they bought the infant?
A giraffe.
Toy giraffe. So,
Wade, we talked about this, I think, in last week's Wild and Wacky. We have talked about this before. I think the overriding theme of Wild and Wacky Wednesday is leave animals alone.
Just don't do it.
Enjoy them from a distance.
And the question became like, and you can do these things inside the safety of the car. Why have the open truck bed, or why have an open Jeep bed when you're around wild animals with an infant?
I mean, they're wild animals for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, wild and unpredictable goes with wild, typically. Anyway.
Mercy.
Yes. Tomorrow's Main Street Sports Today, we will be joined by Overton football coach Ron Lambert and Heather Williams talking NASCAR. Come back with us 2:00 right here. Main Street Sports Today. We'll see you then.